Joe Fenti is one of our favorite content creators. I want to call him a workfluencer, but he's not, and that's not really a thing. So I'm going to go with social media personality. If you're not familiar with Joe, he makes hilariously relatable videos about all kinds of shit. But probably the most relatable to the current state of the job market, and specifically this podcast, are his videos about the absurdity of looking for jobs.
Hi, here are 34 notifications that are vaguely related to you. Great, I hope that one of these will be a status update about the job that I recently applied for. The recruiter you were working with has not replied, but another person with recruiter in their job title has viewed your profile. Perfect. I would like to know who they are so I can message them about their available jobs. No! Their identity is private. Rules are rules, unless you have premium. Okay, I think I'll go ahead and reach back out to the recruiter I was working with earlier. Here is another notification telling you to wish a random high school classmate of yours a happy work anniversary. Thank you for the reminder, even though I ask that you specifically don't send these kinds of reminders. Here is the notification you've been waiting for. The job that you have applied for has been filled. Okay, perfect. I'm so happy to be continuing my job hunt on LinkedIn.
He's a very funny Boston-based comedian. I couldn't be more excited that he agreed to chat with us today because, let's be honest, we all need a good laugh to stop from crying right now. Please welcome Joe Fenti to the pod.
Welcome to Linked Out. Welcome to Linked Out, the podcast that won't help you get a job, but will make you feel better about not having one.
Thanks for having me, gang.
Yeah. We're so excited.
Thanks for being here. We are so excited. Honestly, too, in the interest of full transparency, which I always give to our outies, our listeners, we started calling them outies. I reached out to Joe through LinkedIn. So
which, we talk, if you listen
it's
to this
on brand,
podcast,
honestly.
Yes.
I started posting videos on LinkedIn just to kind of make fun of the platform, and the amount of people who have earnestly reached out to me being like, hey, if you ever want a job in the sales space, I'm like, I'm making fun of everything you guys do. What?
Yeah.
Why is this the method?
And that's the crazy part about, we talk a lot of shit on LinkedIn on this podcast, and we kind of use LinkedIn for trolling. And we don't use it to get jobs because I just don't think that that's what it's for.
It doesn't work.
It
doesn't work to
It
get
doesn't
jobs,
do that.
dude.
Exactly. So I think that it's more of a social media content about job content platform. Cause that's kind of since I started honestly posting about how bad the platform is, I've had people reach out to me also and ask about job. They're like, oh, hey, I love your writing. do you think you need a copywriter job? And I'm like, yeah, I do. But yeah, so it's crazy. But yeah, we think it's interesting how you've been making fun of the platform, and that's really funny that people have reached that has almost gotten you job.
Yeah, and when I was looking for a job, I applied to everything on LinkedIn, and I think I maybe applied to 200 jobs and didn't hear anything back. The only person I heard from was it was a small company. A CEO was actually looking through the applications and said, you're not a fit for the role I have here, but I have you a fit for somewhere else. So I didn't even get an interview for the job I applied for.
Oh
I'm
God.
this is such a waste of time.
Yeah.
It's such a massive waste
200
of time.
jobs. That's I feel like that's a lot of people's shared experience on that platform. I think people are applying and getting no responses, which is crazy because, that's so
I
many.
get it. If you're getting 400 plus apps in 4 hours, there's nothing you can do to compete with that.
No.
I was trying to break into the marketing space and content creation space, which I have done.
Yeah.
I did this maybe 4 or 5 months ago and just was striking out left and right. I'm what more do these companies want when I've been all parts of the content marketing platform. I've been the creator, I've been the negotiator. I've read through the contracts. I'm clearly successful on socials. What more could you like? I can figure out your fucking reporting software in a month. Give me time.
Yeah.
I could figure it out.
We're definitely going to talk about all that because I'm definitely super curious about that. But I know just in the interest of keeping us on theme, let's start with a classic question, a classic corporate icebreaker. Tell us a fun fact about yourself. I know you did a video about this, and your fun fact is that you are a comedian, but give us another one. Come on.
Yeah, I actually have a whole stand-up set about this. My
good.
actual fun fact
Give us your set.
is that I competed in a drag queen show when I was 10 on accident.
Oh my God, amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was a street performer. I have like a whole 10-minute long set describing the story, but when I
love
was a
that.
little
We
kid,
got to get up to Boston and see it.
I would go to P-Town every summer with my family, and there are so many like drag queen street performers and drag queen shows going on all the time. And my dad and I was like 8 years old. We were watching this street performer singing her heart out in front of town hall. She had this sign that said Ellie, 74 years young, making a little bit of money, and just was like having the time of her life. And I was like, Dad, I want to do that. He was like, what? And I was like, I want to be a street performer. And he was like, oh, I was ready for a very different conversation. And then I just started street performing. And after one of my sets, these two guys were like, there's a talent show tonight. They pitched it as a talent show. And me and my dad were oblivious enough to be like, yeah, that makes total sense. And then I competed in the talent show.
Oh my God, that's so awesome.
What did you wear?
Yeah, what'd you wear?
So I would play my saxophone, and my outfit that night was a tuxedo, like one of those T-shirts with a tuxedo on it, Red Sox hat, cargo shorts, Adidas socks,
So business
and
casual.
Adidas slides and ankle socks. I was stunting.
That's awesome. So you
business.
play the saxophone.
Very poorly, but
Okay.
I gave it up once I graduated middle school.
Okay. It was like you just needed that one show, and then you were like, mic drop, done.
It was, I mean, I did the street performing gig for 3 summers. It was the most lucrative job, like pound for pound, I've ever had. It was
Wow.
insane.
That's so cool.
amazing.
We love
my
that.
God, I do love
Yeah,
that.
like consistently, if I played for 20 minutes, I'd make $50. And being like a 10-year-old, you're like, oh, what? This doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
And my sister, who was working at like Starbucks at the time, was making $7 an hour, and she was like, I hate you. What do you mean?
Yeah, $50 is like, in
$50 when you're 10 is
when you're
like
10.
Yeah,
like-
like I remember the only thing I wanted to buy was Pokemon Fire Red, which was maybe a $35 game, and I thought that was like the expense of the year for me. I'm like, I've made that over like 10 times. What am I doing?
You were living large.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
that kind of answers the next question that we had for you, which was like, did you always want to be a content creator and comedian? And it sounds like you at least knew that you always wanted to be like a performer in some sense.
Yeah, comedian was definitely one of the things I was so obsessed with very early. Like when I was in 3rd grade, I remember watching Brian Regan's stand-up set on Comedy Central, and I committed to memorizing it. And when the teacher would leave my classroom, I would run up to the front and like recite the
Oh my
jokes
God.
and like
That's so cute.
get the
That
laughs.
is so cute.
I love that.
Yeah, I was adorable. I get it, but yeah. So it has always been like now it's a reality, but it had always been like that thing I wanted to do later in life. And I wrote satire in college. That kind of like scratched the itch a bit. And when I graduated in 2019, I was like, you know what? I'm going to go give comedy a try. Like I did 1 or 2 open mics when I was in college. We did like a fake TED Talk presentation as like my senior year satire paper, like capstone, LOL. But I tried to do open mics, and then the world shut down because of COVID. And from COVID boredom came doing internet and content stuff, because I was like, if I'm going to be funny, I've seen people like Corporate Natalie and Work, Retire, Die and Corporate Bro. I'm like, I work a corporate job. I feel like I'm funny. I can do what they're doing, but with my spin to it.
Yeah.
And what started as doing videos when I felt like it has now become 6 videos a week and is like my main source of income now.
That's awesome. I love that. I know a lot of comedians that can't like figure TikTok out. And so I always like and they're very funny. Like they're really like, if you go see them live, they have like really good jokes, but they just can't figure out how to like crack the social media code, and they're very like much not
Are you thinking of Clark, your partner?
I'm thinking of Clark and like all of his friends.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, so I always think that it's so cool when because like people watch these social media videos, and like the more effortless they feel, like it's like that's like where they're successful, and like it's people are like, oh, I could do that, but it's like it's actually just like there is an art to like recording like something funny by yourself, and like having to like script it out and like make it a piece of digestible content. So I feel like that's like a really a really good skill to have, like a really difficult skill to have.
Yeah, it's just incredibly different from like doing stand up or just being funny. Like for content, you have to get the joke out almost immediately and then hit the same beat over and over and over again in different ways.
Right.
Like the sketch, I actually taught like a content creation class with like a comedic lens a few months ago.
Oh, cool.
And the main like piece of material I use to like teach all of these is I came up with this idea to like write about the gentrification committee. It's like this fake organization that is telling people to move to like Denver and Jackson Hole and
Yes.
Charlotte. So like I knew the joke was like gentrification committee, but I had to get it out immediately and then hit on the same joke 1,000 times over. So like the opening scene, it's me walking into a room all excited. I'm like, we got young people to move to Denver. And then it pans to my friends and they're all yelling and cheering. So immediately you're like, all right, what's going on here?
Right.
How are we getting there? And then I do a talking head interview and I say, us at General Tri-State Finance Group or Gentrify have been doing blah, 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 blah. So that that's kind of my
Right.
like source material for them to be like, look, I've established it in 2 sentences what this sketch is about, and now every joke beyond it is like, let's get 24 breweries on this block. Let's open a Labradoodle convention. Let's do outdoor dog yoga. Just like millennial grabby things.
It's kind of like reverse. Like we're copywriters, and we like so we write commercials, and I think that like it's a reverse, like you do the reveal, like when you're like writing a like quick commercial, it's kind of like there's a reveal like twist at the end. And I think like social media is much different because you kind of like lead with the joke instead of like have it be the payoff, because people's attention span, like if they don't see what's going on, like if they don't stop, like they'll just scroll past you. You don't really have time to like lead up to this like big, reveal of a joke. So I think that's really cool. And like that you cracked that code and figured it out. And that's like, leading with the joke is like kind of like, and like an interesting twist on like content. So that's awesome that you cracked it. We love that.
I guess you kind of mentioned this already, but just to go into it a little deeper, you obviously are making good money off of doing content creation and stuff now. And, but you do still get your material straight from the source. I'm assuming you still have a corporate job. I don't know if that's true or not, but you at least did at one point. Talk a little bit about that, I guess. And also like how your boss and your coworkers perceive your, comedy outside of work, since it's obviously a lot maybe inspired by them. I don't know.
Yeah, I actually quit my full-time job in January of this year. So,
oh my God, congratulations.
Yeah, that's
thank
awesome.
You. Yeah. I was the worst employee for like the last 6 months of my job. I was so checked out. Like you remember in high school when you kind of had senioritis? That was me. I was like,
you were like,
I'll show up to the meetings.
I don't need
you try
this
to give
job.
me any extra thing. I'm not doing it.
We love that. Yeah, we're
You're like, I've seen what I needed to see, and I'm leaving.
We're really big on like trying to make your passion your side hustles, like your main like
We're big on
jobs
pivots.
on here. Pivots.
We love a pivot.
So like we love to hear somebody that
We
like
love a successful
successfully
pivot.
pivoted into something that they like doing more than like working for some like corporate asshole.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't necessarily a pivot. It was just running it in parallel. Like I
Right.
started doing content. Well, first I graduated in 2019 and I started my
That's
job
true.
October 2019 and I worked straight through at one place. And I started doing content December of 2020, March of 21. Like that was really when I started to do it. And I started taking it seriously more in like 2022. So for like 2.5 years, almost 3 years, I was running both at the same time. And
You had two
when I was
full-time
finally
jobs.
ready to quit, it wasn't like I was taking a leap of faith. I was like, all right, I know what doing content and doing stand-up and running Comedy Coop would look like
Right.
full time. It's just a matter of now go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a high risk situation. You were already like you kind of had like your ducks in a line before you quit the
It was the most low risk decision I
low
could
risk
have made.
decision.
But now, okay, so this is kind of a good segue into this. And your LinkedIn presence is obviously like now entirely dedicated to your content and your comedy persona. I mean, I think I know the answer to this, but do you foresee ever having to use LinkedIn for like to find a job? Right. No, you can't find a job anyway. So
No. And
you don't even have
it's-
your like corporate like resume on your LinkedIn.
No. So
Yeah.
I do have like Fenti is my stage name. So I do have 2 LinkedIn accounts. I have like
Oh,
the
okay.
one people from high school know me from, and then like this one.
Okay, cool.
And it was weird. Like when I was applying for jobs, I wanted to use Fenti to show like, hey, this is my internet presence. I am good at internet stuff. But like I couldn't use my real one because they would be like, who is this guy? I don't know who
Right.
this guy, like just on name alone.
Right.
So like I had to use the Fenti thing, but I didn't want to put my whole corporate experience on there
Yeah.
because people are creepy.
Yeah.
And,
That's true.
it was just a weird spot. Also, it didn't work. So it's not like I really missed out on anything. But now it's like an extra double down of like, yeah, I'm committing to doing stand-up and becoming a touring comedian and doing content and not having a boss. I was so sick of having a boss.
Yeah.
And just like now, occasionally I'll have to employ a camera person or like I'm employing comedians to work on my shows. And I have such a hard time asking anything of them because I'm like, why don't I do it? Like, why don't I just work the door
Right.
and take photos and do the social media and run the show and MC the show and like move all the equipment? And yet I know those are things that other people could do. Other
Right.
people would probably be happy to take like, I don't know, $20-$40 to do door.
Yeah.
Definitely. But
but
you're like, I don't want to become what I hate. I don't want to be a
Literally.
boss.
And then, whereas I'm the opposite, because I brought myself coffee this morning, and Brittany was like, "Where's my coffee?" And I was like, "I'm not the intern. I don't." But I could have gone in for it, but I just didn't.
Sydney's aspiring to be a shitty boss.
I am. I aspire to be a shitty boss someday.
We're
Being a bad boss must be so dope. You can just ask for stuff
Just
that
ask
you
for
know
stuff.
can't get delivered, and you're like, you
Hey.
got to figure it out.
exactly like it's just so much easier
Also-
to be a bad boss than it is to be a good one because you
Yeah.
just tell everybody to
And
do
it's probably so fun too.
the stuff that you want that like you don't even know how to do. I've had bosses that don't know how to do their jobs, and that's why
No,
they employ all these people around them because they're like, I don't know how to open Google Docs. You're like,
He has a
"You're-"
video about this actual thing, and I just like watched it last night. And it's like, if you're a bad boss, you just like can talk out of both sides of your mouth. Like you're just like, hey everybody, we all need to be team players and like, be empowered to do shit or whatever. And then the joke is like, you don't do that. So it's like, anyway, you get it. Obviously, that's why you're
I just
here.
couldn't believe how many times in corporate I found the partners or like the bosses being like, we need to like think critically and you need to be self-sufficient and you have to take the time. Like, don't ask any questions right off the bat. You should be able to like be resourceful. And yet every day they'd be like, hey, can you send me the link to our budget tracker? I'm like, motherfucker, I've sent it to you fucking 15 times. Bookmark it.
Bookmark it. Yeah. That's, I mean, I really, we relate on this with you. like everybody, like most people in this world, I'm sure, have had this guy be their boss. He's everywhere, you know?
Yeah. Insane.
Archetype of boss.
So now that you're full-time doing this officially, like how do you choose sponsors and partnerships that align with your personal brand?
Yeah, basically, first and foremost, I make sure that they're cool with me like doing a sketch and having like a comedic theme around it. Because if I come on here or come on anything to be like, don't you just hate when Grammarly doesn't let you Grammarly your Grammarly? Yeah, Grammarly. Like, that would suck.
I don't know. I kind of liked it.
Yeah, so I mean, I liked it a little.
That plays well with our audience, I think.
Hey, to each their own. I've made an audience of just like making fun of everything and having like a comedic undertone. So as long as they're cool with me doing a sketch and not being like, use my promo code Fenti for blah, 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 blah. I'm like, I'll put it in text. Yeah. But like if I have to speak it, it's gonna make this thing not funny.
Right.
So
this is a problem we're familiar with too. Just because in advertising it's the same thing. You're doing the job of so many people in advertising all in one. You know, you're writing the script, you're acting the script, you're filming it, you're editing it, like you're taking our job, so please stop. But because the brands are always like, but make the logo make the logo bigger. Like that's always like, put it right in the very front. Nobody's gonna watch it. Nobody's gonna watch it.
It's nice.
Make a fun, engaging video, but say these 9 talking points and add an unclickable link.
Exactly.
Yeah, please say our company at least 7 more times in this video. Thank you so much.
Please mention company.
Company. Please talk about company more.
Yeah, that's always the like, hey, yeah, we know this whole video is about using a VPN, but we need you to like say 3 more positive things about a VPN. I'm like, you're in the age where if someone wants your thing, they're going to research it before. Like you don't need me. No one's just going to hit buy off seeing a video. You're going to Google it a little.
They're going to Google it. And if you want people to actually watch the full video, then you can't just be saying that shit over and over again because people will be like, this is an ad and it's not fun. We're next.
Yeah.
But I imagine that most of the time when brands, I don't know, you tell us if brands, when they approach you, they're familiar enough with your like style of content, at least somebody on their team is, because they pitched you to the, decision makers, and they like your brand of comedy. So hopefully that means they get it and they're like, it's cool what you want to do. You have creative control. Yes or no?
It's like an 85-15, where 85% of the time they're like, all right, we understand what we're getting with this guy.
Right.
And 15% they're like, hi, at Fenti Fried Chicken. We love what you do in the finance space. I'm like, oh, you're a robot. You have
correct.
no idea.
Yes. You're a robot, yes.
Do you often get like pushback from client, like when you send client like like your skit for their company, are they like, oh, we really like that, but can you, like, do they have edits for you? And like, how firm are you on your creative control there?
Yeah, there's always an edit that comes back regardless of who the brand is, whether like the joke, like if I have 8 lines of dialogue, maybe 2 of the lines are a bit too funny.
Okay.
So I have to like tone it back a bit, or like not say a company by name. Like,
okay.
Sometimes it'll be like, we gave you a $10 Starbucks gift card instead of bonuses. They'll just be like $10 coffee gift card. Like,
oh, okay, yeah.
Small things that don't take away from the actual punches.
Right, that makes sense.
But ones like companies that are more bound by legalities, like tax industries,
right,
financial services, those are ones where it's a little harder to like be funny because they're gonna
there's so much legal there. I imagine.
Yeah, there's so much legal red tape. I actually had a like a tax filing company back out of a deal with me because I pitched them like 4 sketches. They said, write a script about number 2. Wrote them the whole script. They're like, we can't say big 4. I'm like, what do you mean we can't say big 4? That's not a thing.
You're like, I just made that up.
Was like that was like the crux of the
March
video.
Madness,
it needed to be about big 4.
Right.
So I wrote them a whole new script, sent it their way. They're like, this is great. Let's send it to legal. They sent it to legal. Legal couldn't approve it. And they're like, yeah, we can't work with you. Like, there's no way that you're going to find something that's funny and that we're going to approve of. So it was so sick to do all that work.
Right. Did
you still get paid?
Yeah. So you didn't get paid?
I got paid a third of what the contract was. So like, at least it was something.
Yeah.
But
yeah, at least
like,
you got something. That's nice.
Yeah, still something. But now that this is my job, I was like, oh, that just hurt my run rate by a lot.
Right. Yeah. Like, so when, like, so you write out the script and send it to them. You don't just like film it first. And then you don't just for like proof of concept. They just have to like, the company has to like visualize and like be able to like, just like know what it's going to be like based on like you and your other content and then like a script.
I make it so idiot proof for these brands. Like, I will send them the title, general idea, like explaining what it is. I'll send, I've done something like it, I'll send an example and be like, this is what I'm gonna do.
Great.
Like,
That's so
I have
smart.
an ad coming out later. It's called like overworked sales coworker.
Yeah.
And I've done that overworked ex coworker, overworked HR, overworked tech, overworked IT analyst.
Right.
So I just sent them that demo being like, I'm going to do this joke, but about sales. And then I sent them the 8 bits of dialogue. I'm like, make your edits to the dialogue. Tell me yes or no. They changed up 1 sentence. I filmed it. Hopefully they give it the green light. But I try to make it like, if I film this thing, I want it to be done. Like, I don't want to have to refilm it because that's such a pain.
Right. Yeah.
Like scripting, whatever. Like, takes time out of my day, but actually doing the setup, recording myself, editing it, and then sending it so they can be like, oh, this is what it would look like. I don't want to have to do anything more than like trim this clip, put clip 2 in front of clip 4, like that.
Okay, that's cool. You have like a really efficient system. It seems like
that is one helpful part about being like a business boy boss is that I have all of the
Joe
I have
Fenti,
all of
business
this
boy
like
boss.
corporate training from before to be like, yeah, I know what insufferable bosses are like. I'm gonna make this so easy for them.
Right.
Yeah, I'm gonna cut out all of the middlemen, middle women, etc.
I'm cutting out any potential area for them to be like, ooh, actually, and like, no, you approve this script. I'm not going to say them because I don't want to give them any more publicity.
No publicity,
but
we can believe it too.
They asked me for a video. I sent them the idea. They're like, this is funny. Write a script. I wrote the script. They're like, this is great. Make the video. I made the video, edited the full thing. And like, it was intensive. Like, it took like an hour and a half to film and edit and do all that.
Yeah.
And they then came back saying, we actually don't think this video is very funny, engaging, or good. You're going to have to do a new one. And I was like, nope, no. You said yes to the script. That's the time to say this isn't funny. Also, fuck you for saying my stuff isn't good.
Is it funny or good? You're like, I did everything you asked me to do. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So
I was like, look, you
feels
can
like
either
they were setting you up to burn you on that one. I don't know.
Yeah. So I said, like, look, you can either have this video I made you, or we can get out of this contract and I'll collect half of the contract value because you're now breaching the agreement.
Yeah.
And I stood on my business. They then said, sure, whatever. And the video got 100,000 views. I was right. Fuck you.
Fuck you. Like, so you kind of have to also be your business manager too, right? Like, you're the contract negotiator. And like, so you basically, you do all the jobs, you wear all the hats over there.
Yeah.
So like,
Fenti Fried Chicken is a 1-person company and it is exhausting.
Does LinkedIn ever ask you if you're hiring? Because it asks me that if I'm hiring.
Well, like right now I'm just Joe Fenti
podcast.
on there. I'm not actually like a corporation. So
Yeah,
no, I haven't
me
been asked if
either.
I'm
I'm
hiring.
not
And even if I
either.
were to hire, like I'm so picky. If I were to clone myself and apply for my own job, I think I might say no to me.
And
You're like,
now you're
actually-
pointing to a problem, a bigger problem in the unemployment
which is cloning. I'm just
crisis,
kidding.
yes, which is cloning.
Which is corporate cloning.
Corporate cloning. No, but actually this is another good segue to another question we had. Basically, I mean, I think I noticed your content not on LinkedIn before. I was following you and seen you on Instagram, and I feel like people just send me your videos and stuff to share through other people's accounts. I'm sure you get reposted, but anyway, now that you're on LinkedIn, do you feel like you're, because of like the sort of zeitgeist of unemployment and layoffs and everything, do you feel like your content is like getting more traction now than previously? I guess you sort of said you started in 2022. I feel like the landscape, not only of LinkedIn, but just people looking for jobs, has gotten a lot more desperate. Do you see more traction now on LinkedIn?
I mean, I started doing LinkedIn 5-6 weeks ago. This was a new venture.
What? Okay. Sorry. I
Yeah.
misunderstood. Okay, great. So then definitely the answer I would say is probably yes, right?
Yeah, because
Short
I saw
time.
some of my other friends in the space, like Corporate Sweeney and Your Average Finance Bro. They both started posting on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And I asked them, like, why do you guys do this? Are you seeing anything from it? And they were both very adamant about, like, you got to get on this early because people are going to eventually shift to this. And also it has led to some work for them. And I actually got employed to like make a LinkedIn, like an ad on LinkedIn for a company. I'm like, wow, this was already, it worked.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised.
so,
that is your
yeah.
audience, I mean,
That's the thing. It's exactly my audience. And LinkedIn is just so perfect to make fun of. Like
Yeah, it's
someone
so
commented
easy.
on like the third video I posted being like, you should take this down. This is unprofessional and not appropriate for this site. And then I went, oh no, the LinkedIn police are here. And it's
Not
just
the
so
LinkedIn
fun
police.
to like make fun of it to its face.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think that, and also people on that app like need to laugh because it's like very bleak. People are like desperately looking for jobs, and I think it's nice when you can like look at a funny video in the midst of like being in the trenches of like not finding work on LinkedIn.
it's a public service.
Yeah,
doing.
you're doing a public service. You're giving back to the people.
You are.
I don't know if I call it a public service. I feel like I need to do it. I feel obligated.
Yes, it's a public obligation.
He's like, I'm not doing it for them. I'm doing it for me.
for me.
And that's good.
Yeah,
But you're
I
helping
have to
them.
do this. I can't
us.
let a platform get away with everyone starting off every sentence with, I'm so humble and grateful to announce. Why don't you just say the thing?
I know. I'm always like
when I quit my job to do comedy, I posted on my real one, like, I quit my job today to do stand-up full time. This is not a joke. This is a real thing, in parentheses, or a massive cry for help. Like,
I love that.
Either way.
You're like,
yeah, I'm not going to
I
be
always-
like, it's with a happy heart that I announce. No, why does everyone talk like a robot there?
I don't
Just
know.
say the thing.
yeah. I always like to start my posts with bad news to share because everybody's always like, good news.
Yeah.
I'm always like, it's some bad news. But yeah, I don't know why people feel the need to talk like that, but it's like
But it happens in so many other parts of just like general day to day. Like every best man or bridesmaid speech has the same tone and cadence,
Yeah.
the same kind of style. I'm like,
That's true.
why does everyone say, for those who don't know me, just say who you are. You don't. It's not like everyone's gonna be like, who the fuck was that? Who was that? Like, context clues. You can be like, I've known Brett since 2018. We were college roommates. People be like, oh, I've gathered. They're friends.
yeah. It's like, it's almost
For
like
those
LinkedIn.
who don't know me, though.
It's almost like LinkedIn has like it's like, how when somebody gets a job and it's like, would you like to send this automated response to congratulate them? It's almost like LinkedIn also has like automated post like intros, like where they're
Yeah.
just like, do you want to start with bad news to share or for those who don't, or good news to share, or for those who don't know me? Like which one do you want? I don't know.
Yeah,
But
like the auto comments it suggests when like your friends will get job promotions and it'll be like, well deserved, Jackson. Like, why are we talking like this?
well-deserved first and last name of person.
Yeah.
They're like my good friend, this person. Yeah, it's really wild, but we're glad you're making fun of it because we really enjoy you telling everybody what they're thinking because we're like, oh yeah, we get it. But yeah, it's nice to see it contextualized into a funny video on the very platform that sucks so much.
Yeah. Thank you for making LinkedIn slightly less shitty.
Yeah, it's great. We love that.
I had this question, but now I'm like, this is like a perfect example of what you were talking about. This is like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? I hate this. I hate this question. Let me just say I hate this question because I often can't see past, the end of the week, let alone in the next year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. But I guess now that you've committed to, comedy full time, and then we can also talk about too, like stand-up comedy and what you're doing on LinkedIn and in social media. Those are two different things. Those are two different types of jobs too. So, I mean, I guess where do you see yourself ideally, perfect world? And then also like, what do you feel like do you feel like you have to choose between the two, or do you feel like you can just kind of keep going with both? And yeah.
Yeah, I mean, ideally become touring headlining comedian. That's really where I want to be. I'm getting reps at that now. Like at the end of May, I'm doing a little bit of a mini tour, hitting Chicago, Detroit, and Pittsburgh.
Nice.
On a little headlining tour. And that's just where I'm having a ton of fun. So I would love to get better at that, get more frequent at that.
I imagine that the energy of that is a lot more like exciting than just like creating content alone in your apartment. But I know that it's like, I mean, they're different.
Yeah. I mean, content keeps me paid. So, and also it is a good vehicle to like get people to find out who you are and then maybe have an interest in seeing you live. And then they see you live and like, oh, that was delightful.
Yeah.
So social media and performing arts go hand in hand now, regardless of what you're doing. So I'm going to just keep doing what I'm doing with content and trying to put it on more platforms. Like I'm trying LinkedIn, I'm trying YouTube, just get my face in more places, all for the main goal of like becoming a better comedian, becoming a comedian who tours more, and becoming a comedian who has better jokes.
Yeah. Those are noble goals.
Are you scared of TikTok getting taken away?
Yeah, I mean, it went away for 24 hours and everyone just swapped over to Reels. Like, oh no, Reels sucks. But yeah, everyone's just going to go there. I don't know what the big fuss was. Yeah, Meta sucks, but we got to get our internet fixed somewhere, and it's going to be from that.
Right.
Like,
so it's like if one of them goes away, then like you're like fine with using the other ones.
Yeah, I mean, I use like Instagram and TikTok are both my main ones. Like my following is pretty much equal across the two. My engagement is equal across the two. I like TikTok more because I feel like if you deviate from your norm, you're going to have a better chance of finding that audience because TikTok is better at like targeting specific niches. Like I do a series where I write jokes in the voice of my favorite comedian, Mitch Hedberg. And on Instagram, I'm very much like the corporate guy. On TikTok, I feel like I have a bit more leeway. Like that series always does well on TikTok and it does terrible on Instagram.
Right.
So
but I love it too much to get rid of it. So I like TikTok because it shows your stuff to a more targeted audience. And the payout for just actually making regular videos through their creator fund is so much better.
Right. Yeah, I heard like Instagram people, I was looking at some analytics for how much money people made on Reels, and it was really significantly less.
Yeah, like TikTok, it kind of comes out if you like check off all the boxes to like get it monetized. Roughly every million views comes out to like $1,000, which isn't retire money, but it's pretty cool money.
Yeah.
And on Instagram, it's like 100,000 views gets you like $10.
Okay.
I'm like, how are we this far off?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. That's fuck, that's Mark Zuckerberg's fault for sure.
Yeah.
That's definitely his fucking
And yet
fault.
they were trying to buy up exclusivity of creators. Like they were offering creators like, hey, we'll give you $10,000 for 6 months if you only post on us, which also
Wow.
is blasphemous.
Yeah, that's
And-
like, that's not enough for 6 months.
No, it's like, excuse me?
Oh my God. That's crazy.
Mhm.
Really trying to rip you guys off over there.
Yeah. Since you mentioned it, Mitch Hedberg being one of your comedy influences, we wanted to ask you, you know, who are some of your comedy influences now, previous,
Yeah.
dead and alive?
I love comedians who like I could never see myself doing. Like I love oddball acts. I love weird acts like Hannibal Buress, Bo Burnham, Dimitri Martin, Mitch Hedberg, all who have like very interesting different styles. It's not just like guy gets on stage and tells
Yeah.
stories. Like they're just gonna be weird and it's so lovely. The best comparison I have for like my style is Pete Holmes. He's like the 6'6", very
Yeah.
tall, wacky, zany kind of storyteller. That's
He's-
how I see myself.
He's
But-
kind of wholesome.
Yeah, he is kind of wholesome. He also has a lot of like smart, dumb jokes.
Yeah, he does.
Like he has a whole bit about not understanding like atoms and like electrons and just like everything is made of molecules. And since I've been on the stage, some molecules of me have entered you and some of your molecules have entered me. And when I put my hand on this table, there's 99% dead space in our atoms. And when we ask scientists why we don't go through, their answer is, we don't know.
That's
so
so
like
funny.
it's smart. Like it discusses matter and matter principles. And the end of the joke is like, we don't know.
Yeah, and you
So-
also it's nice because you also like don't have to know anything about science to think it's funny. So
Yeah.
you
A
don't have to
dumb,
know
smart
anything about
joke. I love
molecules. Because you don't know also. So that's funny.
Yeah.
I like that. Pete, shout out Pete Holmes.
Pete Holmes.
Are you still planning to have like do a lot more of like this corporate humor and stuff now that you're kind of exiting the corporate world? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate that I've really built my bread and butter on doing corporate videos, but that was just like at the time that was the big part of my life, and that
Yeah.
was where I was able to find a lot of funny things to talk about and a lot of areas to poke fun at. Now that I'm self-employed, I imagine I'm going to find other things about what it's like to not have anything to do at noon on
Right.
any weekday. Like
Yeah.
I can, or
A lot of
really
people can
my
relate to
working
that, too.
time really kicks off at like 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. Like that's when I'm going to shows, or that's when I find myself like being creative. So yeah, I'm a little bummed that I'm going to have to think outside of the box every now and then to come up with ideas, but I've been out of corporate almost 2 months and I'm still coming up with corporate
Yeah.
sketches.
Yeah, it's
like-
still fresh.
I imagine like it
Yeah.
doesn't, all the years you've spent putting in.
All the years you toiled
Yeah,
away.
it doesn't just go away,
All the
You're like-
Patagonias you collected.
Yeah, they don't go away.
They last forever.
And my sisters did say when I was like contemplating quitting, they're like, what are you going to make videos about? I'm like, what a terrible reason to stay employed at a
That's
job I
true.
don't like.
Yeah.
I am your sister. You should get into gardening, not for nothing. Maybe that could be your daytime hobby.
What?
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Sneaky,
I'm encouraging
sneaky
it,
doing like
everyone.
self-employed work when I don't delegate anything out takes me so long.
Yeah, I bet. No, you sound like you're really busy, honestly.
I try to be like on Mondays, I try to write 6 scripts. On Tuesday, I try to film 6 videos. On Wednesday, I try to edit all of them. And then
Yeah.
Thursday and Friday, taking care of like the other admin stuff of like brand deals and trying to secure more venues for my comedy production company and writing jokes and doing open mics.
You
like
need an assistant. You really
there's
do.
a lot of time spent in my day doing like career oriented tasks. And I'm like, oh, I am what I hate now.
Yeah.
But like it really does.
You're not working for the man, you're working for a man yourself.
Yeah, I'm working for me, and I'm like, damn it. Like yesterday,
You're like, I hate my fucking
girlfriend
boss.
had some work to do, and I was kind of excited that I could do work with her, and I was like, no, it's Sunday. What am I doing?
Working on a Sunday.
Working on a Sunday. But
Yeah.
it's different. It's definitely obviously different when you're doing it for yourself. You're not like putting in all of these
Oh, of
extra
course.
like blood, sweat, and tears for some like shitty dude and shitty
For
corporation.
shareholders.
For shareholders. You're the shareholder.
You're the only shareholder.
I imagine like it's more like, I mean, even with this podcast, it's more like the work that we do to like put this out is more like enjoyable because it's like not for some douchebag. It's for
Ourselves.
these douchebags.
Yeah, these two douchebags.
Yeah, there's an innate sense of like anything I do for my passion, my hobby, my side gig, there's going to be a direct output that I can see and feel. Like the amount of times at my corporate job where they're like, yeah, we don't have anything you need to do right now, but we think it'd be fun if you could build a few different presentations and different styles of them so the client could have options. I'm like,
That does
why
sound fun.
the fuck are we doing that?
For funsies.
Yeah, why are we working to work?
We're working to work. Yeah. And it's
Don't get me started. Don't get me started.
Yeah.
and the more work you do at these jobs, like you don't get paid more. You're just putting in, you know what I mean?
You
It's
do
like,
the more you
that's
do, the
other
more they
thing.
expect
Like,
you to do.
At least when I work hard to like make 6 videos a week and to like get ahead, like even now I have 10 videos in my drafts ready to go. I'm set through next Wednesday. I'm still like, yeah, I should be writing more. I should still be filming in case, let's say I have to go somewhere or something comes up that I can have a little bit of a backlog. Like there's a tangible reason for me to like put in the work up front.
right.
Yeah.
And then the more work you put in up front, the more like relax, like, you know, like you said, you can take a day off or something, you know, if you have like stuff backed up, which is really nice.
Or even just when writer's block hit or creator block hits, and I can think, all right, look, you're fine until Friday. It's Monday. Give yourself some time to like go for a run, go lift weights, go read a book,
Touch
go
grass.
occupy your mind. Something will come up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very important. Also,
I really admire your like organization and drive. It's really like inspiring. Like, you know,
Joe
like,
is clearly
stop.
type A.
yeah, you seem type A with the creativity of a much more type B person.
I would like to think I'm reluctantly type A.
Reluctantly.
But type A nonetheless. It's a good thing. It's a good thing.
It is.
I mean, everything is, type B is good things too. I roast Brittany a lot for being type B. She's the most type B person.
I don't know
I've
where
ever met.
anything is. I don't know what's going on.
No. She just rolls in here with loose medications falling out of her jacket pockets and just like cord that doesn't even connect to her computer. But anyway.
Just giving yourself side quests.
That is what happened today.
Well, since
Loose medication.
loose medications was a new one for me even, but
Yeah, I keep pieces of Adderall in my pockets. What's the problem?
no problem
Each
here.
bit of Adderall finds the next one. It's like a fun little game.
It's a fun game. I know. I'm like, what shirt was I wearing? It doesn't matter. There's pieces of Adderall in every pocket of every shirt, so I'll find one.
Yeah, there you go.
It's a system, okay?
and I don't have to understand it. So your last little thing before we let you go, because again, we super appreciate your time. We wanted to let you go ahead and promote your upcoming shows and stuff. It sounds like you've got a festival coming up later this spring, but shout out to what you're doing in Boston, in and around, and what's coming up for Joe.
Yeah, so my company is called Comedy Coop Stand Up. We do little pop-up shows around Boston and greater New England. So all of our shows and show dates are on our Instagram at Comedy Coop Stand Up. The next ones we have coming up are at the Envoy Rooftop Hotel, Lily's Bar and Pizza, FPAC Art Gallery, Untold Brewing, Barrel House Z, Bully Boy Distillers, and Coastal Mass Brewing.
Ooh,
Cool.
Yeah.
So where do
So
you
we're cooking
find
there.
like what other comedians are like? Do you have like a group of comedians that you do this with, or are they different every time?
Yeah, they're different every time.
Cool.
So Boston has become quite the hub for comedy. So the people that I ask to do my shows, I've been on shows with them before on like a Tuesday bar show or at an open mic or anything that I've seen them at. And it's just as easy as me DMing them saying, hey, are you free for the show? We love stage time. So usually it's a yes. And I try to keep all of my shows very different. Because if you become a fan of Comedy Coop and you want to see more, I don't want you to feel like, oh, I'm seeing the same acts over and over and over again.
Very cool.
So I kind of have like a 4-month rule where if I book someone, I want to have 4 months in between their next show just because it keeps it fresh, it keeps it fun. And if you're going to see Comedy Coop, you might see my same jokes again, but I don't want you to be bored by the rest of the 4 or 5 comedians on it.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's so cool. I mean,
awesome.
I love I love your like multifaceted that you have like this whole little comedy empire that you're building over there. It's really inspiring.
It's certainly fun.
Well, I mean, final thoughts. Thanks for jumping on with us. Like you're so easy to talk to, and we really like appreciate you like letting us get a peek behind the curtain of your content creation.
And obviously everybody, if you're not already following Joe on Instagram, TikTok, now on LinkedIn too, Joe Fenti.
Now on LinkedIn.
Fenti fried chicken. Now available on LinkedIn.
Right on.
We're doing a LinkedIn plug.
Our only plug.
Our only plug.
Thank you so much, Joe. Have a great rest of your week.
Yes,
of
thank
course.
you so much.
Right back at you. See you guys.
See ya.
Okay, bye.
If you enjoyed today's podcast, please give us a 5-star review. Email us at linkedoutpod@gmail.com and follow us on TikTok, Instagram, and Blue Sky at linkedoutpod. Your support means everything, and we fucking love you. Mwah. That was cute.
Bye, bestie.